a brand that the world forgot, and a man who refused to. Let me ask you something. Think of the greatest disruption you have ever seen in any industry. The moment when someone came in and rewrote the rules so completely that everything that came before became obsolete overnight. In watchmaking, that moment happened in 2001, and the brand behind it was not Patek Philippe. It was not Rolex. It was not any of the names that fill the conversation today. It was a manufacturer from La Local, Switzerland, founded in 1846, that had spent 155 years obsessing over one thing: precision. The name was Ulysse Nardin. What they unveiled that year at Baselworld changed modern watchmaking permanently. A watch with no dial, no hands, no crown, where the movement itself rotated to show the time, where silicon appeared in a production watch for the very first time in history. It was called the Freak, and the name was an understatement. The watch world went silent, and then it went mad, because what Ulysse Nardin had done was not just introduce a new product, they had introduced a new philosophy. That a watch did not need to look like a watch, that a movement was not something to be hidden, it was the entire point. And then, nothing. The world moved on, new heroes emerged, MBNF arrived, Richard Mille arrived, AP went supernova. And Ulysse Nardin, the brand that started it all, became the answer to a trivia question. In 2014, Kering, the French fashion conglomerate that owns Gucci and Balenciaga, acquired the brand. And I say this with respect to Kering, deep respect in fact. A silicon movement invented by a watchmaking polymath does not find its natural home in a fashion portfolio. But here is where the story turns. And this is the part that almost no one in Indian watch content has told you about. In 2022, the CEO of Ulysse Nardin and Girard-Perregaux, a man named Patrick Prunier, did something almost unprecedented in the luxury industry. He led a management buyout. He took both brands out of Kering's portfolio and made them independent again under the Sowind Group. A man who had launched the Apple Watch for Apple, who had run some of the most complex brand turnarounds in the luxury industry. He looked at what he had in his hands and decided it was worth betting his whole career on. And then he did something even more interesting. He went quiet. For 4 years, the Ulysse Nardin manufacturer in La Local, the same building they have occupied since 1865, went to work on something. No leaks, no previews. Just 4 years of obsessive, patient engineering. 3 weeks ago at the Watches and Wonders 2026 in Geneva, that silence ended. They called it Super Freak, and I was there. Ludwig Oechslin, the polymath who rewrote the rules. To understand what the Super Freak is, you have to understand the man who made the original Freak possible. And when I tell you about him, I want you to hold his thought in your head. This man was not primarily a watchmaker. His name is Dr. Ludwig Oechslin. He was born in 1952. He studied archaeology and ancient history at the University of Basel. He earned a doctorate in philosophy, specializing in the history of scientific research. He received a scholarship to study theoretical physics and astronomy. He restored the Vatican's famous Farnese clock, one of the greatest astronomical instruments of the Renaissance. He spent years reconstructing the ancient Antikythera mechanism in 2,000-year-old Greek device that computed the movements of the planets. Oh, and somewhere in between all of that, he also qualified as a Swiss master watchmaker. In 1983, Rolf Schneider, the man who had just acquired a struggling Ulysse Nardin, heard about Ludwig while visiting a watchmaker friend in Lucerne. Ludwig had built an extraordinary astrolabe clock accurate to 1 day in 144,000 years. Schneider asked him if he could make something like that for the rest. Ludwig said, yes, why not? And that answer changed watchmaking history. What followed was the trilogy of time. 3 astronomical wristwatches of a complexity that had never been attempted before. First, the Astrolabium Galileo Galilei in 1985, certified by Guinness World Records as the world's first astrolabe wristwatch. Second, the Planetarium Copernicus in 1988. Third, the Tellurium Johann Kepler in 1992. 3 pieces that established Ulysse Nardin as the undisputed leader of astronomical complications. But all of that was the warm-up. In 2001, Ludwig Oechslin did something that nobody, not even the people inside Ulysse Nardin fully understood when they first saw it. He built a watch with no dial, no hands, and no crown. A watch with the entire movement rotated to show the time. A watch that used silicon, that material of computer chips, in its escapement for the very first time in a production watch in history. He called it the Freak. The name was his own internal code for the project, and it stuck because nothing else in the language of watchmaking came close to describing what he had just built. At Basel 2001, Rolf Schneider launched it one day before the fair officially opened. He staged it in an underground venue. 7 figures walked in wearing masks of Ludwig Oechslin's face, led by Schneider himself conducting a fanfare. It was not a product launch, it was a manifesto. In 2006, Ludwig left Ulysse Nardin. He founded his own brand Ox und Junior in Lucerne. He continues to make watches today on his own terms in his own workshop. The man who started the Silicon Revolution in watchmaking now makes pieces that are in many ways deliberately simple. Because when you have already written the rules, you have nothing left to prove. But here is what I want to say about what the Super Freak represents in relation to Ludwig. He did not build the Super Freak. He has not been at Ulysse Nardin for 20 years. But the Super Freak is impossible without him. Every silicon component inside it, and there are 10 of them, including 2 balance wheels, 2 hairsprings, 2 diamond sill escapements, traces its lineage directly back to what he pioneered in 2001. The Super Freak is not a tribute to Ludwig Oechslin in the way that a commemorative edition is a tribute. It is a tribute in the deepest sense. A current team of watchmakers standing on his shoulders and reaching further than he did. This is the highest form of respect one craftsman can pay to another. 50 pieces, 511 components, one unprecedented achievement. Let me tell you what is actually inside the Super Freak, and I want to translate the engineering into something you can feel, not just something you can read off a spec sheet. The movement has 511 components. That number on its own means nothing. What matters is what those 511 parts are doing together. In a Super Freak, 97.46% of the movement is in motion all the times. Only 13 components out of 511 remain still. Think about that. You are wearing a mechanism that is almost entirely in perpetual motion. It is less a watch than it is a kinetic sculpture that happens to tell the time also. At the heart of it is a double tourbillon, the world's first automatic double tourbillon to be precise. 2 flying tourbillons, each inclined at 10 degrees, rotating in opposite directions, completing a full revolution every 60 seconds, each one containing its own balance wheel and its own escapement. They are connected by the world's smallest differential, 5 millimeters across, 69 individual components, which averages their rates and delivers a single supremely precise timekeeping signal. For those who don't know what a tourbillon is, it is a rotating cage that holds escapement designed to counter the effects of gravity on the movement. 1 tourbillon is considered a grand complication. Here, 2 tourbillons synchronized by a differential in a time-only watch that has never been done before in the history of watchmaking. The Super Freak is not an evolution, it is a first. The entire watch is assembled by one watchmaker, start to finish. One person responsible for every single component going into its place correctly. The assembly takes more than 60 hours, then 5 days of testing. Then the entire movement is disassembled, cleaned and assembled again from scratch. Because Ulysse Nardin assembles each Super Freak twice before it leaves the factory. The first assembly is the adjustment, the second one is the final piece. Only 5 watchmakers in the world have been trained to build this watch. Think of it, 5. Out of the entire global population of master watchmakers, 5 people on this planet can do what is required to bring a Super Freak into existence. It is limited to 50 pieces worldwide. The price is north of 350,000 Swiss francs, roughly 4 crore rupees. In white gold, no other materials, no other references. 50 watches, 1 version. If you are not already in the conversation with Ulysse Nardin's authorized network, your window is closing. The banker's argument, why Ulysse Nardin is the most undervalued manufacturer alive. Now let me put on a different hat. I spent years in investment banking, Lehman Brothers, Nomura, etc. I was trained to look at assets and ask one question: is the price right? And when I look at Ulysse Nardin today, my answer is no. The price is not right. It is significantly too low related to what this brand actually is. Here is the argument. Ulysse Nardin is newly independent, out of Kering since 2022. It has a new leadership that bet their careers on this brand's potential. It has the most technically significant watch released at Watches and Wonders 2026 by some distance. It has 180 years of heritage. It has 35 patents across the Freak line alone, and it is still priced in aftermarket terms at a significant discount to where its peers trade. I want to be honest with you. I'm not saying this is a risk-free trade. Ulysse Nardin is smaller than Patek, smaller than AP. Its distribution is limited. Its brand recognition among new luxury buyers in India and the GCC is still being built. These are real factors. I'm not pretending they don't exist. But here is what I know from 20 years of watching how markets reprice assets. The moment when a previously undervalued asset begins to get the attention it deserves, it is almost always the moment when it is already too late to get in at the best entry point. The Super Freak is that moment for Ulysse Nardin. A 50-piece limited edition, a world-first complication, a brand narrative that is finally being told correctly after years of corporate ownership that diluted its voice. The Indian and GCC ultra-HNIs who secure a Super Freak today is not buying a watch, he's buying a position at the beginning of a repricing story. 50 pieces, a manufacturer at an inflection point, a 25-year legacy that the broader market is only just beginning to rediscover. I would put serious money on where a Super Freak trades 5 years from today. The return, a brand, a genius, and what it means to be first. I want to tell you what I felt standing at the Ulysse Nardin booth at Watches and Wonders 3 weeks ago. Not what I thought, what I felt. There are moments at an event like that where you stop performing for the cameras in your head and you just stand in front of something and go quiet. The Super Freak did that to me. Not because of the number of components or the patents or the price, because of the story behind it. Because somewhere in La Rochelle, a team of 5 watchmakers spent 4 years building something in honor of a genius who left 20 years ago. And what they built is the most complicated time-only watch ever made. This is not a marketing claim. This is the reality. It's a technical fact. And in an industry full of marketing claims, technical facts are the rarest currency there is. I want to speak to a very specific India and GCC for a moment. The one who has the Patek, maybe the Rolex of catalog, maybe the AP. The one who is at the point where money is no longer the question. The question is what the watch on your wrist says about how you think, about what you value, about whether you are in the conversation that the world is having or the conversation that India is having 5 years behind it. Ulysse Nardin is the answer to a question that most Indian collectors haven't thought to ask yet. The Super Freak is a 50 watches collection. It will not wait for you to catch up. And the brand behind it is at the beginning of a story that the rest of the world is only just starting to tell. The comeback is complete. The only question now is whether you were early enough to be a part of that story. For more exciting stories around luxury and watches, please follow Dieter Speaks. Subscribe to the channel because it encourages me to bring exciting narratives and stories for you. Thank you.